Welcome to Zoe Crossdressing. Don't forget to subscribe and support us on Patreon. Now, let's begin. Sleep refused to come. Alex lay awake, staring at the ceiling as the familiar weight settled in their chest, a quiet, aching truth they had carried for as long as they could remember. Inside, Alex knew who they were. Outside, the world wasn't safe enough to see her. At school, survival meant disguise. Oversized hoodies. A cap pulled low. A voice forced deeper than it wanted to be. Shoulders curved inward, as if trying to disappear. Any hint of softness was dangerous. Kids like Brad made sure of that. Anyone who stood out became a target, and Alex had learned that lesson early. Morning arrived too fast. Alex slipped on sneakers, pulled a baggy sweatshirt over the sports bra hidden underneath, and joined their mother at the breakfast table. "You barely ate," she said gently. "Not hungry," Alex muttered, already halfway out the door. The bus ride was the same nightmare on repeat. Brad and his friends laughed, whispered loudly, and tossed insults like darts as Alex walked down the aisle. Alex said nothing, just clenched their jaw and stared out the window, counting the minutes until it was over. School halls were no safer. Between classes, a hard shove sent Alex crashing into a row of lockers. "Watch it, dude," Brad sneered, laughter echoing behind him. The word dude burned. Alex fled to the bathroom, locking themselves into a stall before the tears could spill. They pressed a hand over their mouth, trying to stay silent, but the pain was too heavy. Years of hiding, fear, and loneliness crashed down all at once. Something shifted in that moment. That afternoon, with trembling hands and a voice that barely held together, Alex spoke to their mother. "I need help," they said. "I need to talk to someone about my gender. I want to transition. I want to live as female." Instead of anger or disbelief, Alex found understanding. An appointment was made. At the therapist's office the following week, Alex slowly opened up. They talked about stolen moments of freedom, painting their nails late at night, trying on wigs in secret, finally seeing themselves in the mirror when no one else was around. "I've always felt like a girl," Alex admitted quietly. "But I'm scared. If school is already this bad, I don't know how I'd survive coming out." The therapist listened with care, asking thoughtful questions, helping Alex put words to emotions they had buried for years. What Alex felt wasn't wrong. And for the first time, they weren't alone. The therapist helped Alex put words to feelings that had been trapped for years. Together, they talked about identity, safety, and courage. Rather than rushing, the therapist suggested starting small, safe steps, taken at home first. Using feminine pronouns. Creating space to breathe. Building strength before facing the world. They made a plan. A real one. Alex left the office feeling lighter than they ever had before, as if a massive weight, one they hadn't even realized they were carrying, had finally been lifted. That evening, heart racing, Alex sat with their parents. "There's something I need to ask," they said softly. "Could you start using she/her pronouns for me?" There was a pause. A glance exchanged. Then smiles. They pulled their child into a warm embrace. "We love you," they said. "Always." From that moment on, she was Alexa at home. At her next therapy session, Alexa could barely contain her joy as she described what it felt like to be truly seen, to be recognized as her parents' daughter. The therapist listened carefully, then nodded. "You seem ready for the next step," she said. Soon after, they contacted an endocrinologist. The drive to the appointment felt unreal. Alexa's heart pounded as the doctor asked questions, explained the process, and ran through expectations. Time seemed to slow. Then the printer hummed. A prescription slid across the desk. Estradiol. Testosterone blockers. Alexa's hands trembled as she held the paper. This wasn't a dream. This was real. That night, She swallowed her first estrogen pill and lay back on her bed, staring at the ceiling once more, but this time, her chest felt full instead of hollow. Full of hope. Full of possibility. This was the beginning. Over the following months, the changes came quietly but beautifully. Her skin softened. Oiliness faded. Body hair grew slower, thinner. Her face shifted little by little, cheeks rounding, harsh edges easing, her reflection slowly aligning with the girl she had always known herself to be. Day to day, the changes were subtle. Month to month, they were undeniable. For the first time in her life, Alexa smiled at the mirror. She took photos, documenting each step, each milestone. Watching her reflection evolve filled her with pure euphoria. The anxiety that once lived in her chest loosened its grip. She stood taller. Laughed louder. Sang without thinking. Her parents watched in awe as their withdrawn child blossomed into a confident, radiant young woman. At school, Alexa still hid beneath oversized clothes and a pulled-low cap, but something had changed inside. The cruelty of bullies like Brad no longer cut as deeply. Their words felt small. Meaningless. With her parents' support, Alexa began planning the next chapter. Soon, she wouldn't have to hide it all. The plan had been to come out on her own terms, slowly, safely, sometime within the next year. Life didn't wait. One morning at the bus stop, Brad stepped too close. Before Alexa could react, he yanked the cap from her head. Her carefully hidden hair spilled down around her shoulders, catching the light. Silence hit first. Then laughter. Brad's eyes widened before twisting into something cruel. "Well, look at this," he sneered. "What a freak." He grabbed a fistful of Alexa's hair as his friends crowded in, phones raised, recording every second. Alexa couldn't move. Her heart slammed against her ribs as if trying to escape. On the bus, it got worse. They boxed her in, tugging at her hair, mocking her voice, deliberately using the wrong pronouns. Someone pretended to gag. "I always knew something was wrong with you," Brad said with a grin. Alexa stared straight ahead, swallowing tears she refused to give them. By lunchtime, the videos were everywhere. Students whispered as she passed. Eyes followed her through the halls. Some teachers hesitated, unsure what name to use, choosing silence instead. Alexa wrapped her arms around herself and kept walking, step after step, surviving the day. After school, Brad cornered her at her locker. "You'll never be a real girl," he said coldly. Something snapped. Alexa spun around, anger blazing through the fear. "I am a real girl," she shouted. "And you don't get to decide that. Move." For the first time ever, Brad had nothing to say. Alexa walked away, head high, heart racing, but unbroken. At her next therapy session, Alexa recounted everything: the exposure, the humiliation, the confrontation. The therapist didn't pity her. She praised her. "That took courage," she said. "You're ready to live openly." She encouraged Alexa to start using the girls' restroom, to claim the space she belonged in. Hearing herself called Alexa, hearing she without hesitation, wrapped Alexa in a quiet, steady warmth. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was hers. Alexa had stopped apologizing for existing. What once made her different had become her strength. She had shed the shell that kept her small, and the woman inside was finally stepping forward. Then came another milestone. Standing before the judge's bench, Alexa's hands trembled, but her voice didn't. "Please state your current legal name," the judge said. "Alexander Michael Smith," Alexa replied, the words feeling distant, almost unreal. She spoke about her journey, about becoming whole. The judge nodded. "Your petition is granted. From this day forward, you are legally known as Alexa Marie Smith." Tears blurred her vision as she raised her right hand and was sworn in, recognized, affirmed, official. She was Alexa. In name. In body. In soul. In the months that followed, Alexa let herself bloom. She grew her hair into a soft, feminine style. Donated the clothes she once used to hide. Built a wardrobe that finally felt like home. Each morning, she applied a touch of makeup, brushed her hair, and smiled at the reflection staring back. Confidence replaced fear. On her first day back at school, fully presenting as herself, Alexa took a deep breath and stepped through the doors. Head high. Heart steady. Unapologetically real. As Alexa walked through the school halls, something felt different. People stared, not with cruelty this time, but with confusion. Many classmates didn't recognize her at first. Whispers followed her steps as she passed lockers and classrooms, calm and composed. Brad froze when he saw her. The person he had once mocked without mercy now stood confident, unmistakably herself. When Alexa bent to pick up a book someone had dropped, Brad's shock deepened. He wasn't seeing Alex anymore. He was seeing Alexa, a girl who carried herself with quiet strength. For the first time, Brad didn't laugh. Alexa noticed his stare and looked away, already understanding more than she cared to admit. Whatever was shifting inside him didn't erase years of cruelty. He still had a long road ahead. In class, something brighter waited. Alexa smiled shyly at Jade, the artsy girl who always sat nearby. Since Alexa had come out, Jade had been especially kind, saving her a seat, offering genuine compliments, making her feel included instead of isolated. One afternoon, Jade hesitated before speaking. Would you maybe want to go see a movie this weekend?" she asked softly. "Like, together?" Alexa's heart skipped. "I'd really like that," she replied. Jade's face lit up. Friday night, they sat side by side in the back row of the theater, shoulders brushing. After a quiet moment, Alexa reached out. Jade took her hand, fingers intertwining naturally, as if it had always been meant to be that way. Alexa felt something she had rarely known before: ease. After the movie, they shared milkshakes and talked for hours. Alexa felt safe enough to open up about parts of her transition she'd never shared with anyone her age. Jade listened without judgment, then shared her own story, how she had realized she liked girls, and how lonely that had felt at first. By the end of the night, Alexa knew this connection was real. Monday morning, Brad noticed them immediately, laughing together, hands linked, moving through the hallway like they belonged. His expression darkened. When Jade stepped away to use the restroom, Brad approached. "So that's who you're with now," he muttered. Alexa didn't flinch. "Her name is Jade," she said evenly. "And she's my girlfriend." Brad scoffed, frustration rising. "You're supposed to." "No," Alexa interrupted calmly. "I was never what you decided I was." Brad clenched his fists, words failing him. Alexa turned away, choosing not to carry his anger anymore. She walked back toward Jade, toward someone who saw her, respected her, and chose her for who she truly was. And for the first time at school, Alexa felt like she belonged. Alexa felt it immediately, something had shifted. Brad wasn't just angry anymore. She was suddenly out of reach, and that reality sparked a sharp mix of jealousy and frustration inside him. Jade returned from the restroom and instinctively slipped an arm around Alexa's shoulders. "Everything okay, babe?" she asked. Brad didn't answer. He turned and stormed off, jaw tight, fury simmering just beneath the surface. That weekend, Brad showed up at Alexa's house holding a small bouquet, nerves written all over his face. "I just wanted to say sorry," he muttered. "Maybe we could hang out sometime?" Alexa crossed her arms, calm but firm. "No, Brad. I'm happy with Jade." She closed the door before he could respond. Standing on the porch, Brad stared at the wood grain in disbelief. For the first time in his life, his status, his confidence, his assumptions meant nothing. Alexa hadn't rejected him out of fear. She had simply chosen herself. Brad stormed back to his truck, anger burning hot. He sped away, tires screeching, his thoughts spiraling. None of this made sense to him. He had always been the star, the quarterback, the one everyone admired. How could Alexa, someone he once dismissed so easily, walk away without hesitation? By the time he reached home, the confusion had hardened into frustration. He ignored his parents, slammed his bedroom door, and tried to drown his thoughts in video games. But even after hours of play, the noise couldn't quiet his mind. Alexa kept resurfacing. Her confidence. Her laughter. The way she no longer shrank when people looked at her. Restless, Brad paced his room. Normally, he'd call his friends, reassert control, remind himself who he was. But lately, that didn't work anymore. On impulse, he opened his laptop. Curiosity, unwanted and uncomfortable, pulled him into articles and forums about gender identity and transition stories. He scrolled through timelines, seeing how people had changed, grown, become themselves. His chest tightened. Brad snapped the laptop shut and shook his head. "What am I doing?" he muttered. He tried working out instead, counting reps, forcing his mind to focus. For a while, it worked. Until Monday. At school, there she was of Alexa, laughing with Jade at her locker. Confident. Unafraid. Her presence filled the hallway in a way it never had before. As Brad passed, a familiar scent caught his attention, and before he could stop himself, he glanced over. Their eyes met. Alexa's smile faded, not in fear, but in awareness. Brad's face burned. He turned sharply and ducked into the bathroom, gripping the sink and splashing cold water on his face. "Get it together," he told his reflection. "Stop this." In history class, Brad slouched low in his seat as the teacher lectured about civil rights and social change. The words drifted over him, uncomfortably close to his own thoughts. For the first time, Brad wasn't the one in control. And he didn't know what to do with that. In history class, Brad barely heard a word the teacher was saying. The girl seated in front of him had long, wavy hair, and without realizing it, his fingers reached forward, lightly twisting a strand around themselves. "Hey, stop it," she snapped, yanking her hair away. Brad recoiled as if burned. Laughter rippled through the room. His face went hot, humiliation settling deep in his stomach. He slouched lower in his chair, wishing the bell would ring and swallow him whole. After school, he tried to outrun the feeling. At football practice, Brad slammed into the tackling dummy again and again, channeling every ounce of frustration into each hit. But when his mind betrayed him, when the image flickered and the dummy became Alexa's face, he froze mid-motion. He stepped back, breath ragged. "What is wrong with me?" he muttered. Aggression had always been his armor. Being the toughest guy on the team was how he understood himself. But lately, that edge felt dull, unreliable. The world he'd once mocked so easily now kept forcing itself into his thoughts: feminine boys, trans girls, people he'd never really seen before. None of it fit the story he'd always told himself. That night, Brad sat on the couch with his dad, pizza boxes stacked on the table as the TV flickered. A commercial flashed briefly, two women holding hands, leaning in close. His dad scoffed and changed the channel. "Disgusting," he muttered. "Don't need that nonsense in my house." Brad laughed automatically. "Yeah. Gross." But his voice sounded wrong even to him. He stared at his plate, heat creeping up his neck, wishing he hadn't spoken so fast. Sleep didn't come easy. The next morning at school, Brad saw Alexa at her locker. She was laughing with Jade, relaxed, confident, like someone who finally belonged in her own body. The sight stirred something sharp and uncomfortable in his chest. Jealousy. Confusion. Regret. He hadn't slept much. Her face kept appearing every time he closed his eyes. The person he'd once shoved into lockers without a thought now felt like the center of his spinning world. Before he could talk himself out of it, Brad walked over. "Alexa, I need to talk to you," he blurted. Her smile faded. She glanced at Jade. "I'll see you in class," she said quietly. When they were alone, Alexa folded her arms, not defensive, just guarded. "What do you want to, Brad?" He shifted his weight, eyes fixed on the floor. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I was wrong about you." He swallowed. "You are a real girl." Alexa blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Oh," she said after a moment. "Well, thanks. I guess." Silence stretched between them, heavy, uncertain, unfinished. Brad looked up, searching her face, realizing for the first time that apologizing didn't erase the past. And that whatever he was feeling now was something he'd have to face on his own. Alexa turned back to her locker, already moving forward. And Brad stood there, realizing the world wasn't changing around him. He was. Brad cleared his throat, awkwardly shuffling his feet. "So. I'll stop bothering you from now on. See you around." He started to turn, but Alexa's voice stopped him. "Wait." He spun around, hope flickering in his chest. "Why the sudden change of heart?" Alexa asked, arms crossed. "You bullied me for years. Why apologize now?" Brad's cheeks flushed red. He stared at the floor, trying to find words that didn't come easily. I guess I was jealous," he admitted quietly. "Jealous of you, being so feminine, so free." "You were jealous of me?" Alexa repeated, disbelief in her tone. He nodded, face burning. Silence stretched between them. Then Alexa softened. "It takes courage to be honest like that. I appreciate your apology." Brad finally lifted his gaze, meeting hers. "So, maybe we could start over? Maybe, go out sometime?" Alexa gave a small, bittersweet smile. "I'm flattered, Brad. But I'm very happy with Jade." Rejection hit him like a second wave. His shoulders slumped, the sting of reality sinking in. Alexa touched his arm lightly. "I hope you can find the courage to be yourself too. Whoever that is." And with that, she walked away, leaving Brad to wrestle with his swirling thoughts. Over the next few weeks, Brad kept his distance. He no longer bullied anyone, sticking mostly with his football friends. Yet, he couldn't help the fleeting glances, catching Alexa across the cafeteria, hearing her melodic laugh, feeling a strange ache whenever he saw her with Jade, the way the two of them seemed to exist in their own world. Then came the final day. Alexa stepped into the high school for the last time, grinning from ear to ear. Graduation day. For years of struggle, courage, and transformation had led to this moment. Her future as a woman stretched out before her, bright and open. When her name echoed across the stage, Alexa Smith, she lifted her chin, heart swelling. Her parents were in the crowd, tears glistening in their eyes. She ran to them as soon as she stepped down, arms wrapping around her mom. "I'm so proud of you," her mom whispered, clutching her tight. Alexa had come so far from the timid kid who had first told her parents who she truly was. Their love and support had given her courage to transition, to step fully into herself. Then Jade spun up to her, laughing and twirling her in a jubilant hug. "We're graduates," she cheered. Alexa looked into her girlfriend's eyes, gratitude overflowing. Through every challenge, every step of fear and uncertainty, Jade had been there, loyal, loving, unwavering. In that moment, standing tall in her cap and gown, Alexa felt fully seen, fully alive, and ready for whatever came next. As Alexa laughed with friends on the school lawn, she caught sight of Brad lingering at the edge, his posture tight and uncertain. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment before he looked away, shoulders hunched. Alexa felt a flicker of pity for her former bully. She hoped, in time, he would find the courage to accept himself, just as she had. That evening, Alexa and Jade curled up on the couch for one last high school movie night. Tomorrow, college awaited, on opposite coasts. Long distance would be a challenge, but Alexa felt ready. She had grown stronger, more confident, capable of thriving on her own. "I'm so proud of you," Jade whispered, running her fingers through Alexa's hair. "You've become such an amazing, confident woman." Alexa smiled, eyes glistening. "I couldn't have done it without you. You've always had that light in me." "I'm glad I got to be part of your journey," Jade replied, pressing a gentle kiss to Alexa's forehead. "To share it with the world." Though miles would soon separate them, both knew their love was unshakable. The next morning, Alexa hugged her parents tightly at the airport, breathing in the warmth of their pride and support. A chapter was closing, but the future beckoned brightly. Settling into her college dorm, Alexa felt liberated. Here, she was simply herself, no whispered judgments, no sideways glances, just Alexa. She continued her hormone therapy diligently, marveling at the subtle, feminizing changes each month brought. While a trace of dysphoria lingered, she was proud of the body she had shaped and nurtured. School breaks brought joy-filled reunions with Jade. Time together deepened their bond, their love flourishing despite the distance. One winter night, lying entwined under soft blankets, Alexa whispered, "I think I'm ready to start planning for bottom surgery." Jade stroked her face gently, eyes shining. "I'm so happy for you. I'll be by your side, every step of the way." Alexa's heart swelled with gratitude. After extensive research, she scheduled a consultation with a leading gender confirmation surgeon. In the sterile, quiet office, she recounted her years-long journey to womanhood. The surgeon explained the procedure carefully, emphasizing both its complexity and the healing it could bring. "This is a big step," he said. "Recovery will take time, but it can help your body and mind align." Alexa left the appointment elated. After years of dreaming, the final stage of her transition was finally within reach. The night before surgery, she curled up with Jade, anticipation and nerves twisting in her chest. "What if something goes wrong?" she whispered. Jade squeezed her hand, calm and unwavering. "Nothing will go wrong, my love. And I'll be right here when you wake up." Reassured, Alexa let her eyes close, ready to face this final leg of her journey. The morning sun streamed through the window, bathing the room in gold, signaling the start of a new chapter, the one she had always dreamed of living fully as herself. Sunlight filtered through the hospital window as Alexa's eyes fluttered open. For a brief moment, the unfamiliar surroundings left her disoriented. Then, memory clicked, the surgery had happened. Jade stirred in the chair beside her, eyes brightening the instant she saw Alexa awake. "Hey you," she whispered, squeezing Alexa's hand gently. "How are you feeling?" Alexa gave a small smile, still soft with grogginess. "A little sore, but amazing," she whispered back. "I can't believe it, it finally happened." The nurse appeared shortly after to check her vitals. "Everything looks great," she said warmly. "With proper rest and care, you'll make a full recovery." Over the next few days, Alexa slowly regained mobility. Pain medications eased the worst of the discomfort, though every step still carried a dull ache from the invasive procedure. Bandages, drains, and physical therapy were tedious, but she focused on healing, one small triumph at a time. The first time she made it to the bathroom on her own, Alexa froze at the mirror. Her reflection, smooth, aligned, unmistakably hers, brought a grin to her face. After years of disconnection, her body finally matched the person she had always known herself to be. Discharge day arrived, and Jade guided her to the car with careful, loving attention, handling her like fragile treasure. Back home, exhausted yet elated, Alexa curled up in her own bed with Jade close by. "I'm so proud of you," Jade murmured, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. Alexa snuggled closer, grateful beyond words for the unwavering care and love she had received. The next month was a careful adjustment to dilation, pelvic physical therapy, and routine checkups. At times uncomfortable, at times frustrating, each step was essential for proper healing. Alexa had waited so long, patience was no longer a burden, but a commitment to doing it right. Returning to college midway through spring semester, she noticed a change in herself. Every movement felt lighter, more natural. Walking to class, getting coffee, even sitting in lectures, mundane moments no longer carried the weight of dissonance. Her body and spirit were finally in harmony. By the time college graduation arrived the following year, Alexa radiated confidence. Her family cheered from the audience, pride shining in their eyes. That evening, they celebrated with Alexa's favorite homemade meal. "I can't believe my little girl is a college graduate," her dad said, voice cracking with emotion. "You've blossomed into such an incredible young woman." Alexa's heart swelled. She had walked a difficult road, endured challenges, and come out stronger. Now, her life stretched wide open, a canvas for career, love, adventure, and joy. Years later, Alexa stepped off a plane, butterflies dancing in her stomach. Today was her 5-year high school reunion. So much had changed since the awkward teen years, the days of whispered judgments, the lonely hallways, the uncertainty. She had flourished. Her career in tech was thriving, her downtown apartment was cozy and stylish, and her life was full of remarkable people. Still, a small part of her wondered, would her old classmates finally see her as she truly was, or would they only see the weird transgender kid they once knew? Alexa smiled, steadying herself. Whatever they thought didn't define her anymore. She had become the woman she was always meant to be, and that truth carried her forward, confident, proud, and unstoppable. The crowded banquet hall buzzed with chatter and laughter. Alexa took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was more than a reunion, it was a chance to show just how far she had come. Her eyes immediately found Jade, waving with that same radiant smile that had always made Alexa feel seen. They embraced tightly. Though college had shifted the shape of their friendship, Jade remained her biggest supporter, her constant cheerleader. "You look amazing," Jade said, eyes sparkling. Alexa smiled, glancing down at her dress and heels. It was true, she carried herself with confidence now, long hair cascading over her shoulders. No longer the shy, closeted girl her peers remembered, she was fully, unapologetically herself. She mingled effortlessly, chatting with former classmates about life in the city. To her surprise, most treated her just like they would anyone else. Some even complimented her hair or outfit, and she returned their smiles warmly. Then she spotted him of Brad, leaning against the bar, a half-empty beer in hand, standing apart from the crowd. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment before he quickly looked away. Alexa paused, considering. Then she approached him calmly. "Hey, Brad. How have you been?" she asked, her tone gentle but steady. He shuffled slightly, uneasy. Working and stuff," he mumbled. An awkward silence stretched between them. Alexa studied him for a moment, then nodded with quiet understanding. "Well, it was good to see you," she said softly, reaching out to touch his arm. "Take care of yourself." She turned, walking back to her friends with a sense of closure and peace. The rest of the evening unfolded with laughter, stories, and warmth. Alexa had grown, she had healed, and she had finally stepped fully into her own light. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out our Patreon for early access and exclusive content.